on here for almost 2.5 years, and the whole time I've been on here, I've pretty much had the same complaint with TNA when it comes to their pay-per-views, that their pay-per-views can't be held to the same standard as WWE. They have to do better. Every pay-per-view has to be better than what the WWE puts on as a whole. An average. Meaning that all their pay-per-views have to be at least good. You're already going to have some bad pay-per-views. That's just going to happen. Things are going to happen. But almost all the pay-per-views have to be at least good. Not just okay. Has to be good. They have to deliver. And a lot of them need to really probably be great. A good, probably almost half of them need to be great for TNA to succeed. I've always felt that. I've always felt that was the only way they were ever going to succeed. Getting their name out there, getting people excited about them, getting people to know about them was word of mouth from us, from the people who are diehard wrestling fans, talking about TNA, saying, wow, you know, this company's really doing good, it's really putting on good wrestling, all of that sort of stuff. They're on TV, all of that. For 2.5 years, I've been preaching the same thing when it comes to TNA. That has always been, probably more than the booking, more than anything, that's always been my biggest thing, is that the pay-per-views had to be far better than they've been. When they first announced the card for Turning Point, a lot of us got really excited. I got really excited. I was all like, wow, this looks like it might actually be really good. You know, really good. Because, you know, theoretically, we thought it would be really good. And then the Hogan news hit. Then the Impacts came out. And the Impacts, I know I'm not the only one because I've seen other people complain about it, that the Impacts pretty much took all this hope that we had for this pay-per-view and just drenched it and said, screw it, I don't even know if I want to watch this. Which is pretty sad and says a lot about the Impacts, how bad they are. But tonight, TNA delivered in a big fucking way. I could go through the card and there's lots of things I could I shouldn't say lots, but there's things I could complain about. But the fact that we had an X Division match with 2 guys, only 2 guys, I like that. And they went out there and they didn't do necessarily an X Division match. They just went out there and did a match with 2 guys doing high spots. I mean, that's what they did. They weren't doing spot. They were actually kind of doing, I mean, they were, but they were, you know, playing to the crowd. It was actually, it didn't feel like your normal X Division craziness match. You know, we had the tag team title match, which was a multi-man match, which I could have done without, but it was still very good, or it was still good, I should say. Probably went a little long, but really, you know, my biggest complaints with this whole show would simply be that you had the beautiful people on pay-per-view, which I don't think you should have at this point in time. You had Steiner and Lashley, which was not very good. And you had Hernandez take a pin from Rhino, which I thought was kind of stupid. That'd be pretty much it, for the most part. As far as I can think of truly standing out, just bad stuff that TNA did on this show. Everything else I can forgive. Everything else is fine because they actually went out and they fucking delivered. They gave us Kurt Angle. They gave us Nigel. I'm always going to call him Nigel. They put him in the ring and they had them let him go. They let them go. And I have said pretty much, I think, since I've been on here, that somebody needed to sign Nigel. That Nigel, more than anyone else that had been in Ring of Honor, was the guy that I always thought had the most potential. Because he had the look, he could, on the mic, he could wrestle, he had everything. He had everything that I thought Bryan Danielson didn't have, and while he wasn't as good as a wrestler as Bryan Danielson, he was almost as that good. So it was like, he's a no-brainer. He goes out with Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle puts him over. Yes, he lost, but if you asked people, would you want to see Kurt Angle and Nigel McGuinness again, they'd say yes, because it was a good match, and because it looked like Nigel belonged in the ring with him. It was an awesome match. It was one of the best matches I've seen from TNA in forever, maybe 2 years. I honestly have sat here and tried to think of matches I thought were better than this, and I really can't. Not that it was just an amazing match and one of the best matches, you know, ever, anything like that. But it's the best match I've seen from TNA in forever. And then you had the main event, and the main event was just as good, and for different reasons. It wasn't, you know, a traditional wrestling match. It was more, you know, spots and a mixture of all sorts of hybrid wrestling, and it worked, and it was really good. Was it as good as the first one? I wouldn't go that far myself. The first one was kind of special because it was the first, you know, it was just kind of special. This was really good though. This was awesome. Both these matches were awesome. And all I can say to TNA is thank you. And can we please have more? Please, because this is what you need to be doing. And I hope everybody that thinks about seeing this pay-per-view, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going to lament about this pay-per-view because it was so great. Buy it. Get the replay. Buy the DVD. Let TNA know that they did the right thing. Let them know that this is what you want to see. Because if you don't, then this isn't what you're going to see. We're going to go back and we're going to get what we've been seeing, which I don't think anybody wants to see. Like I said, the impacts haven't been good, in my opinion. I don't think they've been very good at all. But this pay-per-view was exactly the type of pay-per-view I've always felt TNA should have been putting on the whole time I've been on here. And yes, there were problems. There's no question about that. But you know what? You ended the night with two amazing matches. And I can look over the problems that you did on an undercard because of that. I really can. I can say, you know, let it be. Because everything else on, like I said, you had really two bad matches. Everything else was okay to good. To really good. Depending on how much you liked it. So, you know, no star ratings. You know, I'll put star ratings and I'll put everything in the description. But I just wanted to come on here and that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, TNA, for giving us what we've been asking for. This is what we wanted. This is what we've been asking for. And the sad part is, this could have been even better. I mean, there was definitely things that could have been better on this pay-per-view. You know, you could have just let Tara and Awesome Kong just have a normal match. It didn't have to be a cage match. It could have just been a normal match, and I think it would have maybe even been better. You could have... There was lots of different things you could have done at this pay-per-view. Could even have been better than what it was. And I think that says something. It's not like this is the very best any of us thought this pay-per-view could be, because I think everyone would sit here and say that there's a possibility some of these matches could have been better. And I think that says something. And hopefully this isn't a fluke thing. Hopefully TNA actually goes out there and puts on another pay-per-view that's just as good, and we get a lot of the same things. But for one night, I will be content. And thank you, TNA. And with that, I'm out. Later.